I loved your documentary. I thought it was fantastic. I love that you guys always focus on the David versus Goliath dynamic, if you will, and you really brought to life the sheer, and I'm not going to mince words here, idiocy of the U.S. Soccer Federation and how they are antiquated in their notion that, you know, we're going to keep the scale, the pay salary for the women, something akin to like the 1920s, for lack of a better way to put it. It's kind of ridiculous what they're doing, and you guys did a brilliant job of skewering them. I was very pleased. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll start from the beginning. What attracted you to this topic?
I think right when the lawsuit dropped, you know, our ears went up. Our production partner, Abby Greensfelder, who is a fellow producer on this project, she knocked on our door and said, "Did you guys see that lawsuit?" And we were like, "Yeah, we did. I wonder what's going on with that." And it's, even though I've loved this women's team, Sean has too, has celebrated them as top athletes and amazing personalities, and I love the sport, I just had no idea the length and depth of this fight between the players and the federation. And so I think that was kind of a first surprise, and that the outcome would be historical. No female athletes have ever sued their employer to be treated equally as male athletes. So already that just feels like something that, okay, what's going to happen? And then it's the players themselves. I mean, they're larger than life. They win everything. And the fact that although they're so celebrated and they're so beloved and they win everything, that they're still in this position of having to actually take it to a lawsuit to get justice for this. It just felt like the kind of story that we love, as you're sort of pointing out, the Goliath, you know, David against the Goliath. It's something we're naturally drawn to. And it also just felt like cinematically, we wanted to put these athletes to also showcase their skill and talent in a way that a film really hadn't as much before. So all that, I think.
Yeah, and there's that, you know, when Abby told us about the idea, I think there's also that challenge of, you know, how do you take something that's in the headlines and how do you make it something more than that? How do you put emotion behind headlines and behind tweets and things like that? How do you, and you know, we typically do that by really getting close to people. I think that's what we enjoy about documentaries, and you know, we enjoy the challenge of that. I think when you have professional athletes that live all across the United States that are the top of their game, that's even a bigger challenge. So we felt collectively if we could pull that off, it would be successful. And I think in the end, I think it was quite successful.
I love the fact that your Oscar is like right behind you. That is like,
oh,
amazing.
Sorry.
No, that's no, and your various awards as well. I love it. No, I think it's fantastic. I talked to Marlee Matlin not too long ago, and Marlee informed me that, you know, an Oscar could be put wherever. And I spoke to Jodie Foster, and she talked about how her Oscar was in the bathroom. And if I had an Oscar, no, that's not even a joke. She totally said that on camera.
Yeah,
I've heard that with the toilet paper.
Yeah, people put toilet paper rolls on it. They put it in weird cases, and you know, it's funny. Like, so this is our studio and our office, and so you know, it's funny because like we just sort of move them.
It just means a lot to us too. I mean, as a couple, I think there's something, and as a husband and wife, and what we go through to make films, and each film is like giving birth to a child, maybe, or like it's like creating this thing, and you put all into it. And so when that gets recognized, especially for documentary, and you know, we're also proud of like when it gets recognized, when film documentaries get recognized, they create change. You know, people, it throws them out into the spotlight, into the bigger audience. More people can see it. It's like for us, it's important. So
we have one at home and one here, and so we keep one at home too, because the kids, we feel like our kids get, you know, they go with us on all these journeys, and sort of like they sacrifice too by having two working parents kind of get like sucked up into crazy schedules and things like that. So we always thank them in the credits of every film. You'll see them in this one as well.
Yeah.
So.
I literally, if I were in your position, and I'm obviously not, I would put it right where the Zoom camera is, like right under my face. It'd be like right here, and you would be interviewing me and be like, "What's that? Is there something wrong with your chin?" Like, yeah, this is just my Oscar. Don't worry about it. You know, all good, man. I'll put it over here. I mean, you've got an impressive trophy case back there. I'm kind of like in awe. And if you think about it for a second, what you guys went through to get the Oscar, like to be earn that Oscar, I should say, you put yourselves through the ringer. I mean, going through like into places that people would be like, no thanks, to cover these stories that need to be told. So you were to be commended. And this is just another chapter in that David versus Goliath, motif you kind of go for. Now, when you're going to this story and you want to, of course, film it and document this whole process, who do you go to first?
Well, I think we always first just sit down without cameras. It's the question of like, well, what is the story we're going to make? Why is the person on the other side going to be interested in having their story told? We sort of try to explain as much as we can about like how we go about this. And I think always as much work possible without the camera, as human to human. That's how we kind of like people to meet us. And we try this. This one was tricky because it was like a car moving down the highway while it was being built. We couldn't even get in front of the players until they landed after the World Cup at the ticker tape parade. And we sat down with Megan, and she was the first one we approached with the idea. And she was in. She said, I'd love to do it. I just can't answer for the rest of the team, but I don't want to do it unless other team members become part of the film.
I think we have, we also sit down and talk about it and do a lot of research before we even talk to the people. Andrea and I are like huge fans of actual fictional films. And so we watch narratives all the time, immensely. We have a huge collection of narratives, and we draw on those and we watch them, and we remember that film. What about that look? What about that story? And so we start talking about it. And I think it helps us it's always a plan to break, but some kind of idea or shape. And even when we talk to someone like Megan to explain and express what we're feeling is important to us. And so, even this film, we drew from films like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which people would never think you would draw from, or
Guy Ritchie can get a piece of information
or even
faster than anybody.
even strangely, some of the shots in Constant Gardener, or there's a soccer film that was at Sundance when War Dance was there, that was an experimental film on the soccer player Zidane, where they just filmed him one game and they had no audio, only audio of the game, no narration, nothing. And you just watch him play beautifully, very tight. And it was kind of this experiment to watch with this beautiful music. And so we even looked at that and we're like, that's kind of interesting. You don't care who wins, you're watching this athlete perform. And how could we do that with the women? And so in our film, and so kind of mishmash all these ideas and come up with but
have it be from them.
Always from their perspective.
The creative choices that we made really just start with when you sit down with someone like Megan Rapinoe, who's just incredibly cool and unabashedly opinionated about what she thinks is right, and walks the walk and talks the talk, and has this whole part of this whole collective that does it exactly the same, but each in their own individual way. There's a swagger and a confidence. And, that's why LFG, their other film before that about the team is Dare to Dream. And the difference of that title comparatively to this, it says a lot, so the music choices, the graphic choices, all those things, we worked with Jeff Consiglio, the editor on this, who we've worked with on all our other films. He's amazing. And so collectively we kind of had
we felt really lucky he was going to get back together. We got the band back together for this one. Yeah. So we kind of have a shorthand, three of us, and it works out really well.
Now, what do you hope people take from this documentary?
I hope it's a rallying cry. Our company is called Change Content. We want films to create change. We've had our other films create tremendous change. This is the first film that's part of this new company, and I want it to change. I want to change the conversation. I want the U.S. Soccer Federation and the United States Women's National Team to sit down and work it out. And I want them to both raise their hands in victory and say, we've got equal pay. We're the first organization to commit to this, and that's a win for everybody. And I think we need that. We need that in America. We need that in sports. That's truly what I want. And then on another level, I just hope the film inspires others. I hope it inspires, people that are fighting for equality, people that feel like they're not heard. You talked about the David and Goliath, you know, that we can be heard. Like people can be heard if they come together and they keep up the fight. Anything worth fighting for, it takes a long time and it's an effort, but it's worth it.